I'd like to call to order. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'd like to call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Selectmen for Tuesday, October 1st. You have the agenda in front of you for today's meeting. There's one amendment to item 9. The second bullet point, the price per ton is incorrectly listed. It should say instead of $95 per ton, $110 per ton. Otherwise, the agenda should be fine. Although it's the full, you know what? Well, we can go through it. There's got to be a contract change too then. It's on this list. Well, Don, you can address that when you come up. All right. So we'll make that an amendment. But so with that amendment, and we'll have to change the full contract price. If I could get a motion to approve that amendment.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. And then the approval of the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Approved. Or second, whatever.
Amend.
That's it.
I'll throw it off. All right, great. You have the minutes from our September regular meeting. Are there any additions or corrections?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, could I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Public comments. Members of the public are welcome to provide comments to the Board of Selectmen on agenda topics scheduled for review and or vote. Comments submitted electronically should be sent to the following email address, bosdistribution@newcanaanct.gov. Do you have anyone wishing to address the board today? Nope. Seeing none, we will move on to software renewal with Captain Feringa.
Morning.
Can you turn that? There you go.
Sorry, here to renew our contract with Telerepco. They store all of our, they take care of our cloud storage for our body cameras and car video cameras, things that statutorily we need to hold on to and retain. The amount is $33,400 for 1 year of storage, which the funding is available and has been approved already. So
Would they see, is it the footage is stored for 1 year when you say 1 year storage? So like.
sorry, just for a year with the company,
Right.
But the retention times vary depending on what it is. Like a DWI, for example, we have to store for 2 years from date of arrest, or searches we have to store for X amount of time. Our standard footage, I believe it's 60 or 90 days we hold on to if there's no incident associated with it.
Yeah, I was just curious because, you know, I mean, so when someone's worrying about, is it on all the time?
So the way the cameras are set up, as long as they're powered on, once the officer hits the record button, it is always storing 30 seconds of video, but no audio. So in other words, if we're in public and we're talking or something happens and then something happens right in front of us, we hit the record button, it captures 30 seconds back.
I'm feeling very intimidated with the camera looking right at me right now.
Are we recording?
So it's not currently recording right now. I haven't activated it to record, but it's always in the background recording 30 seconds of video, and it overwrites, but there's no audio with that. So once you hit the record button, then it begins to record audio and the video.
So the video is
continues.
always going on and the audio has to be activated.
As long as the unit is powered on.
Right.
So if I powered it off, then no, but yeah.
I was just curious what the protocol is.
They're set up the same way. So like, you know, the officers are driving around and there's a violation or an accident or something happens in front of them. Once they activate everything, you can go back 30 seconds and see what transpired.
And is there only one data storage company that all the police use in the state of Connecticut, or, you know, because I envision, as you know, now these cameras become ubiquitous with all officers and there's more data that needs to be stored. That this price will probably, you know, not stay static. And so, you know, do we have other providers, and also, you know, do we see the expansion of the amount of data that they're going to need to store, and are we charged by the amount?
That's a good question. I don't know how many providers of storage
Okay.
are out there currently servicing law enforcement. It's something we'll obviously look into as we're going forward. Telerepco is a company that provides all the stuff that we've contracted with to this point with our camera systems in the cars and the body cameras and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely something we'll continue to explore as we go forward to see what other options are available, if there's something at a better price point. Because to your point, yeah, it's going to most likely go up or get competitive. So there might be other vendors we can transfer to in the future.
Yeah, I think it's unclear what the cost will be. Do we have to store more? There's
Yeah.
more competition? Yeah, but we have it. So
Are there state guidelines as far as how long the video is stored, or is that
Yes.
sort of just a best practice kind of?
No, there's state guidelines for, as I was saying before, it depends if it's just a routine contact,
Yeah.
certain things we hold for X amount of days, but if there's arrests associated with it or, a search incident to arrest or just a search period, certain other parameters are set and we have to store it either in the cloud, save a copy, and obviously physical copies require space, physical space. So the cloud is beneficial to not overrun the property unit with storage of videos and files and things like that. Because even the thumb drives, although they're small, the footprint of the bag they go in is larger and it's harder to track.
Yep.
And with FOI requests and body cameras being so prevalent and mandated, the videos we're constantly getting more and more requests for videos and videos and videos. So having the access to that is important.
Yeah, it's amazing how far it's come. I mean, seems like just yesterday we passed an ordinance about these license plate readers, and we had a huge townwide discussion about how long the information should
It
be
was
held
huge.
and where it was going to be. I mean, it was almost a year or more of talking about it before.
Wow.
We
Yeah.
So it's amazing how quickly things evolve and where we are today. So I think it's great. I mean, I don't know how do the officers feel about wearing them, and
It's great. When we first started cameras years ago, we were one of the first departments that launched officers having cameras before it was a mandate. And it was kind of split, because kind of people weren't sure, but it's actually been more helpful than anything for the officers because we've had more complaints that are just completely negated. Or once you have the full context, it's like, okay, well, the officer actually didn't do what you thought they did or you're saying they did. And it really only takes one incident like that where an officer is cleared of any accusations of wrongdoing to get everybody on board. Like, okay, cool, can't wait. Let's record everything.
But it is up to the officer to press record for the audio, correct?
To get the audio, yes.
Yeah, okay.
However, when just to clarify, like our policy is that it dictates when they should be activated. So absent an exigent circumstance where it would be detrimental to the officer to take the time to turn it on, they should always be recording. So it's not discretionary in that sense, but
Right.
yes, if they don't hit the button, you're not going to get more than 30 seconds of a
Yeah,
video.
and I could see like you just mean to and don't,
well,
you could not unintentionally not. Yeah.
some situations it happen so quickly that it's
Exactly.
it's, you're reacting to it.
Well, good. I'm glad the force likes them. That's good.
All right. If there are no further questions, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the New Canaan Police Department for annual renewal of cloud software in the amount of $33,400 related to body worn and in-car camera systems for New Canaan Police.
So moved.
Second.
It's
Thanks.
unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Todd, paint machine.
I love the name of this machine.
Good morning, everybody.
That's great.
So the New Canaan Parks Department is seeking approval to enter into contract with Lewis and Tanner Corporation out of Syracuse, New York. This is to purchase a Cromer Da Vinci paint machine that will be replacing a 10-plus-year-old ride-on paint machine. The paint machine is used to repaint the athletic grass fields throughout the spring to fall seasons. We do try and do this weekly throughout those seasons. The ride-on paint machine is a very specified piece of equipment, and there's nothing else like it on the market. Lewis and Tanner is the only dealer available in the area for this. The money is available in fiscal year 2025 capital budget with $26,500 allocated. And the total price for the Cromer Da Vinci paint machine is $25,975.
What will you do with is the old machine just junk or can you sell it?
We can reuse it for a spare in case this one breaks down. So we
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
A backup just in case. So
Okay.
How's it powered? Is it gas or electric?
gas,
Gas.
and then it's hydraulic driven with the gas. So yeah, holds 62 gallons of paint.
So you basically open 5-gallon buckets of paint, dump it in there, and
We
then
pre-mix the paint, with water, and then we
Little bit different. We
Yeah.
have big totes now,
Totes.
so
Oh,
we're
yeah.
not
I saw a big jug on a shelf.
That's
When I
exactly
went
what-
to
We have
three
visit.
of those,
it,
yeah.
there's
Two
big
hundred and
jugs of
twenty-five
paint.
gallons of paint,
Yeah.
and then mix it with water.
You don't want that falling over.
It is a latex paint, but it's specially formulated for fields.
Any questions? All right. If not, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Parks Department to enter into a contract with Lewis and Tanner Inc. in the amount of $25,975 for the purchase of a Chroma Da Vinci paint machine.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, so the next
Right.
one we have is we're seeking approval and enter contract with the Trailer Depot LLC out of Northford, Connecticut to supply the town with an enclosed trailer. We received two quotes from two different vendors, and the Trailer Depot was the lowest price. The enclosed trailer will replace a 10-plus-year-old trailer, and this trailer will be used on a daily basis for baseball and softball maintenance. And then when we're not using it for that, we take it out to do our general maintenance around the area, mowing grass and other items that we'll use it for. The money is available in fiscal year 2025 capital budget. We have $14,000 allocated, and the Trailer Depot's price was $13,179.
Is this to replace an existing? Because there's been one that we've used in the past. Is that one worn out, or are we just going to add it to an additional? one?
Replacing an older one, yes.
So what do you do with the old one?
Dispose of it.
So, okay. All right.
Can't make it like a storage shed or something? No.
No, we don't want to store anything.
Okay.
We don't need to. No more storing.
Nobody wants it for a parade, you
No.
know, a float.
No, stop. Stop that. Keep those closets empty.
Send it up to a university. Okay. All right. If there are no further questions, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Parks Department to enter into a contract with the Trailer Depot LLC in the amount of $13,179 for the purchase of a trailer to be used for Parks Department operations.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you. All right, moving on. God, you're busy today. Leaf box.
So the next one will be, we're seeking approval to enter in contract with BLF Contracting LLC out of Stamford, Connecticut to construct a leaf box for the Parks Department leaf collection operations. We requested quotes from three different vendors and received only two quotes. BLF Contractors was the lowest bidder. The new leaf box will be placed in a very old leaf box, which was repurposed from the Highway Department. This leaf box is used during leaf collection season for the fall and spring cleanups. The delay in purchasing was due to delay in obtaining a replacement truck. This box will be built out of a 1/4-inch aluminum with the new style of door that we have. Our old door used to open up.
Okay.
Bottom to top, this will be a barn swinging door, so
A little easier.
a little easier on us. The money is available in fiscal year 2023 capital budget, and we have $21,500 allocated. BLF Contracting's price was $15,500.
We generally see a positive delta that way.
Yeah.
That's good.
Especially from a 2023 quote. That's pretty good. Again, so is this just a trash or is this going to be, okay.
I don't even know how old the old box was that was given to us by the
Okay,
highway, so.
Okay, just.
Repurposed very
checking.
well, so.
Okay, just checking. All right, any other questions?
Gotta have it.
All right, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Parks Department to enter into a contract with BLF Contracting in the amount of $15,500 for the purchase of a constructed leaf box to be used as part of the leaf collection season and for spring cleanup.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Geese relief.
Geese relief.
All right. John.
So this is to continue our geese mitigation program. We don't harm the geese by any means, but what we'll be doing is we're including Saks athletic fields and also the high school athletic fields, Farm Road and the track. Geese Relief is the vendor we've been using for a number of years at Mead Park, where they take care of the whole geese program, from actually going out on the island and addling the eggs to moving the geese twice a day, 7 days a week. At the high school in Saks, they're going to do twice a day, 7 days a week, but they're offering us to do more in the beginning because they feel that they're going to fly from Saks to high school and back and forth. So they're planning on coming at least 3 times a day until they can start consistently move them.
So John, when they come, what do they actually do?
They have border collies.
Okay.
And they have let the border collies out,
Mhm.
and with their controlling of the border collies, they have them
Okay.
chase the geese.
And are
Get 'em to
geese
fly.
smart? Do they know that the collies are there, you know, for this time of day and then we're just gonna come a little later?
Exactly. And that's why they vary the time
Okay.
that they come throughout the day. So the geese are smart enough to know that when one car pulls in to Mead Park, that they would take off and leave that.
So any car, not just
No, this would be the geese relief
geese
car.
relief car.
They know that the dogs are in the car.
Okay.
So, but that's showing that it's working, you know.
So could we put an invisible fence down and own a couple border collies and let them hang out there all day?
You know what? That's one of the things that's happened to a lot of the golf courses. They get a border collie, and if they don't work the dog, the geese don't care anymore. So the dog becomes lazy, and if they're
Hangs
not
out.
being formally
Okay.
instructed to keep going. So for us, no. And we wouldn't want to leave a dog,
Yeah.
you know, off leash, et cetera. So.
But we've gotten several letters and emails about, and even photos about how bad it is at the track.
It's
in particular with, you know, everybody that obviously is out there walking, running, and that's just an absolute
a mess.
Yeah.
And that's what will help this. Today, there was a guy that went up to blow goose droppings off the track. You know, so we think it will help a lot. This is in the budget. We added $10,000 into last year's budget for this, to do exactly this. And fortunately, geese relief is the low price, you know, so for 12 months, it will be $9,900. And we get a competitive price, which was much higher. So
they go twice a day?
Twice a day.
How many locations?
Well, right now, they're just going to Mead Park twice a
Okay,
day. But
okay.
if this is approved, they'll go to the high school and Saks twice a day.
Huh.
Except once on Sundays.
Okay.
They give their guy a little break.
I have a question because, you know, so we didn't have them coming to Saks and the high school before. We only had them coming to Mead.
Yes.
Are we just moving our geese from one park to another? And are we going to now need it at, you know, Waveney and
Okay.
then Kiwanis and
We're
like,
hoping they're going to find a better place to go. The only reason they go to Saks and the high school is to eat. So, you know, another area that has a lot of grass might be the country club. No, but there's a lot of places where there's other grass. They do not like to fly. They would like to sit out there all day long and not be bothered.
Yeah.
And they're not nesting there, so moving them is a little bit easier. When they nest, we have to go through a whole.
well, we haven't seen them at Waveney.
Waveney, for whatever reason, they don't even stop to land.
Okay.
You know, once in a great
So-
while, you know, it's the exception, not
Okay.
the rule.
I'm just
But
worried that that'll be where they're next.
and it could be. And it could be.
There's a lot of dogs walking through Waveney.
Okay.
on
And
leashes.
Irwin. and-
Oh, that's true. There's a lot of.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay.
And probably the big part of the Irwin, it's all the trees out in the front
Mhm.
lawn area,
Mhm.
keep them from going there. But
Okay.
the athletic field side, they might think that's the place.
Okay.
Part of the reason they love our grass is we fertilize it, we maintain it well,
Mhm.
and it's nice eating for them, so.
Oh.
But I mean,
So then we have to turf everything.
No.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
I still have that degree in turf management. I don't want turf everywhere.
I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Anybody listening, I am not being serious.
Some of those letters, though, the fact that it was pointed out that it was health, but which is obviously it's always been a concern with kids playing soccer and being out there, but the safety part of it on the track being so slippery. I mean, someone's going to just take a header on the track. It's not a good thing. So
Well, it can't be a health, it's got to be a health hazard at some level. Goose
organic.
droppings every,
Unfortunately, they just eat grass,
okay.
so it's disgusting.
Yes.
How's that? It's a disgusting issue.
All right, I don't need to talk about goose droppings. So if there are no further questions, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Parks and Rec Department to enter into a contract with Geese Relief LLC in the amount of $825 per month or $9,900 per year for 12 months to provide safe and humane Canadian geese control at Saks and New Canaan High School athletic fields.
so moved.
Second.
It's unanimous.
So they come all year round, even though we have migration periods?
The problem with Canada geese in Connecticut is they don't migrate.
Ah,
The
okay.
ones
yeah.
that are we probably would only complain for a couple weeks at the most
Got
if they truly migrated through. They're resident Canada geese.
Okay.
So
Well, let us know how it goes.
I think it will go well.
I don't know. Christmas gifts.
Thank you.
James from Hingham.
Thank you.
All right. Don.
Morning.
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 So this item is just a revision from a previous approval. We noted that we had a typo in the original memo back in May.
So Tiger, it looks like the total is the same, even though there was a typo. So it was just a typo.
Yeah, it was a copy and paste.
Okay, awesome. Wasn't sure.
So, right, so we're looking at, we, as we mentioned, we went out to bid, received competitive bids for it. And we just had a typo in the memo, so the approval was incorrect at the time. So the overall now is the contract effective July 1. What do you want me to say?
Yeah, just make sure these are the right numbers.
Yeah,
Just make
right.
sure we get the right
That's
ones.
right. So the tip fee is $110 for tipping and for C and D and for yard waste. It's 110 a ton and then 50 a tip for each, for a total for 2 years of $500,420. And you had previously calculated incorrectly, it was 455,280. So your approval was 455,280. We needed the approval to be 500,420 for the 2 years, and the monies are available in the transfer station budget.
Any questions? All right,
No.
if I could get a motion to approve a revised request from the Department of Public Works to enter into a 2-year contract with Enviro Express of Bridgeport, Connecticut for the hauling and disposal of transfer station materials at the following rates. Year 1 and 2 yard waste at $50 a ton or $190 per haul, and year 1 and 2 C and D at 110 per ton, 185 per haul.
So
Oh, sorry. Contract effective July 1st, 2024, and an estimated 2-year annual cost of $500,420 for 2 years.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Hey, Don, thank you for bringing it to our
Thank you. Thank
attention. We appreciate it. We're, yeah.
Good morning.
So this item was tabled at the last meeting. The board had some questions. I'm joined now by Julie Marcus from you're the president?
Yes, co-president.
Co-president of the New Canaan Garden Club. And again, the item itself is for preparation of construction documents and permitting for the proposed wetland boardwalk at Irwin Park. Richter and Segan has gone through the schematic design, the design development already, and now we're at the point where we just want to develop the construction documents. To help us with that, we need 2 contracts. One with Cianci Engineering for some structural engineering work associated with the diamond piers, and then Down to Earth Construction or DTE Consulting for the geotechnical engineering of the same for $8,450, which makes a total request of $46,750. The monies are available in the current Irwin Park project, the boardwalk project, but I know that the board had some questions about how much we
So
spent
this is
prior.
incorrect on our agenda.
Huh?
This is not
Sure.
what we have on the agenda.
Right.
You only have you have everything up. You have the Richter and Ciancia in this request, not the down to.
Oh, that's because we had revised it at the time of the day when we came in, because I had added that one for the structural engineer, the down to earth
That's right.
consulting. That's
So-
at that time. I apologize.
All right, so then the total request is 46,000.
46,750, because we had added in the down to earth consulting, the geotech, which is required by the structural engineer, which is required by the diamond pier manufacturer for us to have a structural engineer do the analysis, and the structural engineer needs a geotech to do an analysis of soils. So that's correct. So I apologize that that was amended in session last 2 weeks ago.
So of the $175,000 that was approved for this project, and we thought that was gonna pay for pretty much all the project. Asking for another $47,000. What has been spent so far of that 175?
We've spent approximately $45,000.
Spent on what?
That's been on the the design development and the original schematic designs, design work. So Richter and Seegan works on a 3-phase where they come in first, give you a schematic design, various proposals of what they would be looking at, say 3 options of how to construct whatever we were looking at, whatever project. You choose one, they come back in, do the design development, make sure that, and then that gets us through the permitting phase. We had to go through inland wetlands in that regard. And then once that is all done, then we go to the construction document phase and some bidding services. And then, so we're looking at the 3rd phase in order to get this project out onto the street to find out exactly how much it'll cost. We have estimates or construction estimates from a professional estimator. We think they're slightly high, but we can't prove that until we actually go out onto the street and see exactly what the market would hold.
So
Excuse
Tyler,
me.
if I add the 47,000 that we've already spent on design and development, and you're asking for another 46,750, we're looking at $93,750 for design and development work. Not a board has been laid, nothing has been done. That's almost $100,000 in design work for what was originally proposed as a $200,000 project to the boards for approval. So
For about, correct me if I'm wrong, under 1,000 feet, is that correct?
It's approximately 900 feet of boardwalk at present. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
those numbers are.
900?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think, I think we're at 88. I think we'll have a balance of the 175,000 of $88,000 remaining. So I
no,
think
how much she's asking, how much boardwalk?
feet, that's correct.
So to Deanna's point, we're being asked to spend, already spent 45, another 46,000. Just so $90,000 to design 900 feet of, and we don't even know. So it's almost like this, I think the initial project, I don't think, did the project expand?
Project didn't expand. The project, the parameters of the project changed. What we were originally anticipating was we would have approximately 600 feet of flexi pavement, 300 feet of boardwalk. That was what the original thought was. Due to the topography and the grounds that are where the project is laid, we couldn't see it because we had to go in there and cut all the invasives out, then have it surveyed several times to actually make sure that we have the topography right. So the amount of boardwalk expanded from the 300 to the 900. So almost the entire length of the project itself is now a boardwalk. And it also was looking originally that we were going to almost be able to lay the boardwalk on the ground. We're not able to do that now. We're actually having to do a little bit of a structure underneath the boardwalk itself. And then associated with that was the idea of adding an overlook. That's included in the original, in this estimate as well. We feel that we can take that overlook out specifically since it's going to an area that might not necessarily be worthy of an overlook. So the project changed. It didn't expand per se because we're still looking at this almost the same distance of boardwalk and almost the same location. It just changed its parameters based upon what we determined in the field as we went through the design. So more boardwalk, less flexi pave, more costs associated with the boardwalk itself than was originally anticipated, and more boardwalk itself has then caused the project to escalate in cost. Right now we've spent 40 and change, and we're asking for the next 46. So yeah, 93,000. You're correct. Would be the number.
We really, I mean, the estimates now in the document was it's 780,000. Just let me finish. When we thought, I mean, this came through in an unusual way. It came kind of fast and perhaps wasn't.
That's right. It
We
didn't
didn't
go through the
dig-
Board of
We didn't
Selectmen.
dig down probably enough in terms of what it really would be in there. But if their number is 70 or 80,000, or even if it's lower, right? Is that inclusive of all these soft costs? That's not just the construction costs.
The 780,
Yeah,
that
that would be all in,
that was the construction estimator's estimate of construction,
just construction.
just construction. That's correct.
So on top of the 90,000, all of a sudden you're pushing up close to $1 million for 900 feet.
I think that his estimate is quite high, but I can't prove it
Yeah,
without.
but even if he's 500,000,
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
still a lot.
because I think the town committed to 175,000 back when. I mean, is the garden club committed to raising the difference between what's been proposed or what is estimated? Because
Big number.
I think given sort of what we have in our or just in Irwin Park alone, we have major costs associated with the house that need to be addressed. On today's agenda, we have additional costs associated with the barn. So,
Which is only getting the barn structurally sound.
Right.
And there's other stuff that needs to happen there.
so as a, I mean, it's a great, nice project, but as a like priorities of the town project, I would want to know from the garden club that you're committed to rate if we approve the the additional fees for this
The
work,
soft cost fees, yeah. Mhm.
that the garden club is committed to fundraising for the full balance of the project. Because quite frankly, a wooden boardwalk is now again adding to what is going to need to be maintained, because wood doesn't last forever. So I mean, I don't know who's going to, be providing the upkeep and maintenance on that boardwalk, because I mean, as someone who has a wooden
That one.
boardwalk my husband built on our property, it has needed upkeep and maintenance. So I guess I'd like to hear from you as to what your thoughts are.
I completely understand your concerns. I think we were all surprised by the numbers when they came in. Our original bids in 2022, when we originally were looking at this project, our low bid was $350,000. I think at that time, we were comfortable saying we can raise the remaining amount of money. Things have changed topography-wise. We've learned a lot about this, the scope. We're trying to have an ADA walkway. That is always more money. We are trying to have an 8-foot wide one. That is an area that we think we probably can trim a little bit and save some money on going forward. The overlook is $118,000 of the current bid. So we know that would bring the price down to $566,000 from the last bid that we received. So we have some ideas of how we might trim the costs on it. We as a garden club have already invested about $86,000 into the plans at
Now
Irwin.
what,
So we had
not in
full-
this plan.
So
in
we're actually
Irwin,
in
full
this,
design.
so we had an original plan done by Stimson Landscape for $40,000 or $50,000. It was an extensive plan of the entire park. That was what this walkway we ended up building off of with the town. We also just recently paid them $34,000 for a second area in the park Hillside Terrace, that we've had approval for. So we have quite a large investment already in this.
But that's in the whole park. A portion of it is reflecting.
Well,
this.
that's a portion. The Stimson did an entire plan. We focused on 2 small areas for the time being to work on. One was this woodland walkway. The other is a hillside terrace. We have finished paying just recently the drawings for the hillside terrace. And this is an area that we have been waiting on, really, to be honest, pricing wise, to see what we were going to end up having to raise for it. Financially, if we were responsible for $566,000 today, we don't have that money in our coffers. We are in the process of raising funds. We have currently about, I would say, $90,000 of cash that we could invest. We have about $100,000 pledged to us from some community members. We have not gone out to the full community on it because we don't want to come and ask for money on a project that we don't know what the future is on it. We have a very large fundraiser in June that as our second garden tour. We hope to raise good money on that. Our last one netted over $60,000. That goes towards our civic account, which Irwin Park is a part of. So we're hopeful we're going to be raising another large chunk, and we feel like we can reach out to the community to raise more money. Can I commit to $566,000 at this time? I don't feel confident that the garden club alone, I think.
Where's the 566 coming?
Bid, I believe, in 2024, which was the boardwalk, 8-foot boardwalk, red cedar on Diamond Piers. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that was the estimate.
That was the estimate. That was the estimate from the numbers we've received. So we are.
I'm sorry, where's the 780 versus 566? I'm confused.
That included a wetland overlook. So the larger number has an overlook.
If you got rid of
And that we were thinking we can trim from the package more than likely.
in your other project, the Hillside Terrace project,
Yes.
how much do you think that's going to cost? I mean, I'm just thinking, this is obviously for discussion for you guys, but like, where's the best use of resources for you in terms of?
My understanding on the Hillside Terrace is a lot of that work was going to be done in-house.
Some of it.
Some of it's going to be done in-house, that it was, more grading than a lot of other things. And
Now, the plan I saw serious terracing, which is not in our DPW wheelhouse, as I understand. So that is not a in-house project. That would be another thing that would have to go out to an outside contractor, under my
Right,
understanding.
there would be a contractor to do it predominantly the amount of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's serious grading
Right.
and serious terracing. I mean, feels like something in Europe. I mean, it's beautiful. I saw the plan. It's absolutely gorgeous.
I can't speak to it. I think that would be something for Tiger to speak to. We are not tasked with that portion of it. We have presented it and we are hopeful. We try to work with Tiger on all the plans, but we are not included in that section of it on the bidding, and on the rest, we are on the sidelines on that.
We haven't done any bidding on that. Okay, we haven't paid any consultants beyond what they paid.
We
Stimson.
paid consultants.
Okay.
We haven't
Okay.
paid anything
That
past what
Stimson
they've done.
40 grand.
Yes.
Where's the best use of money? I mean,
But that's always, this is what's difficult about this, because there are many organizations in this community that are amazing, and the Garden Club is top 10. So, I mean, all the stuff that you guys do in town is not lost here. I mean, it's absolutely incredible what the Garden Club does. The issue we're struggling with is, we go out to our taxpayers who, we hear it all the time. We don't want tax to go up. We don't want tax to go up. And, when you do the math on the back of a napkin, and it may not be this kind of number, but when we're talking about $1 million for 900 feet of nice to have boardwalk, and somebody says to us, "Hey, you guys are spending $100,000, for a project that is a nice to have from a standpoint of footage or square footage."
well, $100,000 without paying for anything
Right.
to go in.
Right. And we struggle with, as we get deeper into these projects, the deeper we go without knowing what the end number is, the worse it gets for us, because we can't back the truck up once we start going down the road. So this is what we struggle with on days like today, is like, how much do we commit without knowing what the number is, what the big final number is, and how much money the town is going to be on the hook for. And, and we've gone through this before with public-private partnerships, which have been amazing, and that's what's built this town. But this particular one sounds like it would be more on the town side than it would be on the Garden Club side, at least in terms of percentages.
I'm not positive if that's exactly how that would shake out. I guess it would depend on the numbers. If we can keep it down to the $500,000 mark that we were looking at for it. I know that the Flexi Pave is going to cost some money if we do that section there. And I don't know if there's any money left. I know that they did a beautiful job over at Bristow on the Flexi Pave, a very large section. And I believe that was all paid for with ARPA money, if that's right. That was
Actually town funded.
Town funded. So, a beautiful walkway over at Bristow. I know that Bristow is, what a pillar to this town that you guys have put together there. Irwin is, I don't have the absolute numbers, but as far as how many people participate and use Irwin, it is significantly higher than Bristow. The magnitude is not 5 or 10, it's probably 50 times more used. It is a loved park. It is used every day by every age, every group in our town. it would be well used. It would be well appreciated. We have, as a club, have probably put in about $350,000 into the park. We've planted 86 trees, 50,000 daffodils. I mean, it is a destination. And our hope is to enhance it. Our hope is to add usage for it. The area that this is going into, it needs addressing no matter what we do. It's filled with invasives, it needs to get cleaned out. Parts of the park are overgrown. I completely agree. Maintenance is a long-term issue. I think the club is very interested. We've tried in the past to work in environmentally sound ways of taking out some of the invasives. Those are areas we'd like to work on in the future. But I think as they've said, we couldn't access this area to properly check the grade because it was so overrun with things. So no matter what, that area has to be addressed. And if we're going to address it, we should address it for the long term, which means planning for it, figuring out how we're going to have access to it, how we're going to keep it from becoming what it is right now, which is a little bit of a jungle. Those are expensive. I wish it weren't. Our club is committed to raising funds. Our club is committed to what we've been doing for the last 19 years, which is being a steward and trying to make recommendations. But we work with Parks and Rec. We are not the ones that do the maintenance. We are strictly there, to help, to fund as much as we can, and to come up with some of the master plans. I mean, obviously, a lot of it goes through the town.
So if, let's assume the cost is more than 500. What number did you come up with?
599.
Think somewhere
we
in
take
that
out that
range and
over
566.
566. Okay. And if we were to expend this additional money on the soft costs,
Right.
so that only leaves about 85,000 less of town funds.
Right.
So the question becomes, it's a
can we
$500,000 raise.
It's a tremendous amount of
Huge.
money.
And again, for a very, I went and looked at it yesterday, and it is overgrown and stuff. I mean, but there's a couple issues too. There's one about, invasives. That's kind of a separate discussion than expanding access.
I think the issue is access to it was part of the issue in the past. Is there, when we've asked about cleaning it out, there hasn't been access to it. They haven't had a graded area where they can get their equipment into the park. They haven't had it, this is not a new issue. We didn't just suddenly wake up and say that area is overgrown. We've been looking at this for several years now, at least 3, that we've been actively thinking, how do we manage this portion of the park? And it's going to require investment of some sort if we're going to try and clean these areas up. This is one way, but we're going to have access to that park, and it's going to cost. And unfortunately, it's expensive, as you probably know from all the other parks in town that you guys are tasked with funding. It is not inexpensive to get into these areas. I think that the 500,000 that we had to raise for the FlexiPave, it happened. It's expensive. It took, commitment from the town. It really showed the interest in the park at the time and how badly people wanted that walkway and wanted to use the park. And I think that they wanted to do it in an environmentally friendly way by putting down FlexiPave. And I think, we've had a huge influx into this town.
It's great.
People want to see more of it, is what I think. I think that people want to use their town parks. And I think in particular, Irwin, because of its size, because it's maybe not as woody and everything else as walking through Waveney, people are drawn to it. So I don't doubt that it would be heavily used by our constituents and the people in the town.
No, I don't doubt that it would be used. I mean, I've walked over there. I think it's a great park. It's great to see so many people walking. It's more of a where in the order of priorities, because we have major investment in that park that we need to do immediately. I mean, Irwin needs serious attention and the barn needs serious attention. And so I don't doubt the desire or the or how much it would be used. I mean, I know people would use it. It's just, can we afford it now? And I don't hear that the Book Garden Club can commit to raising the balance of the funds, given what we think will be a significantly higher ask. And so I'm not sure at this point I can get behind additional planning dollars, because we've already spent 50,000, which I find is a very large number already for planning. I don't know if we maybe should
agree.
be looking at a more cost-effective structural engineer and planner. I know we have others that are maybe not quite as expensive as Richter and Segan. Richter and Segan is kind of on the high end of a planner in this community. So I think maybe we need to, take a step back, really reevaluate how we want to spend and sort of the layering in of at what point, because right now we have a great walking path and it is heavily used. Would another 1,000 feet of walkway be nice? Yes, it would be really nice. Is it in the listing of projects that we have, and we have, Waveney House is also going to be on that list this year. Is it a priority in this fiscal year? I'm having a hard time adding this project to the list of big priorities that we have going forward.
I guess our one question as a garden club would be, because as I said, we're prepared for the fundraising, we're prepared to put forth the funds that we've already raised towards the project. But are there any funds available, whether it's from ARPA or town funds, for things like the FlexiPave, things that we've seen? I know that Bristow raised a lot of money. They did an incredible job, but I also know that the town helped in different ways raising those funds to finish that park. Are there any funds that
So
might
we'll have to go
towards
back because
that?
obviously there's lots of draws on it as well. And quite frankly, the taxpayer is owed. The taxpayers owed that as well. So, again, it's a prioritization of where those funds should go and who, what are the high. So I haven't seen this in the list of the highest priorities right now. So that's our job and the board of finance's job and the town council's job to sort of put that priority list. I always hear Rita saying, I want a list of, in the order of priorities, what are our biggest priorities in this community? Because there's an unlimited number of great ideas and opportunities and a limited pool of dollars. And so I'm having a hard time with this one right now, especially considering I'm not hearing that you're committed to being able to raise the amount.
Well,
that would need
it's
to be
really a
raised.
challenge for us to commit to raise something when we don't have a dollar amount to know what we're going off of. I think we would feel much more confident telling you that we could commit to something if we had the actual bidding docs, because I think there are ways that we could trim this. We don't have to have an 8-foot wide walkway. It could go down to 610, I think, which would take off possibly, $100,000 from the bid. But we don't have those numbers because we haven't been able to get an estimate. And so our hope was to get to the next stage so we could do the effective cost cutting and make real decisions on it. At this stage, we can't, I can't commit to an ended, as you can't, to an endless number. And so I wouldn't be comfortable putting our club in a position where we have a $700,000 or $800,000 bid that we, at that point, there's no possible way I could say at this meeting, oh yes, we can come out maybe 2 years, but in the next 6 months, that would be a big task.
I think you said it well. There's unlimited great things we can do, but we kind of have to be careful here. We're really good at doing shiny new toys, and we have, 3 of our parks were basically estates, which have endless numbers of buildings that are in various states of disrepair. And Waveney, which is kind of the prime, building, is in need of incredible amount of work to just keep the water out of it. And, and then we have, Irwin, what to do with Irwin House, Irwin Barn, which we're going to talk about later. Now they've made it structurally sound and the roof on, but the question is then what do we do with it? So I think it's just very hard to get behind this dollar amount, given, it's 900 feet. It's just a lot. And I know it would clean up the invasives and all that stuff. Those are 2 different steps. And then I also am so worried, we do it all the time. We take on stuff, everyone loves grant money, everyone loves contributions, but then the maintenance stays with the town. So we're giving this obligation to people down the road, and nobody comes out of pocket for maintenance money.
I can appreciate the maintenance. I'm sure that's a big issue for you. And as I said, I think with Tiger and the maintenance of that area, we're hoping that this will make it easier to maintain a lot of that area of the park.
I actually meant the walkway.
Well, and I think what's the lifespan on that? Is it
At least 20 years.
at least 20 years. I mean, we're looking down the road. We think that the materials that we're choosing are long-term choices, not short-term. I mean,
So
they're
this
expensive,
isn't wood, this would be artificial,
the hardwood.
nice old wood. It doesn't last 20 years. It
We-
doesn't.
We got 30 years
Yeah.
on fur, but you
Yeah.
know, it's going to be
It
replaced at some point.
depends.
Yeah.
It depends with the heavy usage and
Absolutely.
yeah.
At some point in time, it'll get,
Yeah.
it'll, but hopefully not for quite a long time.
All right, any other questions? All right, well, I don't know how we want to proceed. I'm not hearing a huge amount of support for this, but if someone wants,
The money.
We can offer to.
should I just, I'll put
I
the,
mean,
do I
mean,
have a motion?
For half the money of the design.
Yeah, I think at this time, we could contribute half towards the design for it to get the bidding process going, if that would help in any way to move us just to the next step of this project.
I mean, the issue that we have is not so much the small numbers, it's the big number at the end. And that's what we, even throwing another $20,000 or $30,000 at it at this point, without knowing what that last number looks like is tough. I mean, that's really tough.
It's the cart and the horse though, like,
Yeah.
or the chicken and the egg.
Yeah.
We need that last hump to get to
Get the
that
number.
last number.
I just think that, we're the easy three to get through. I just picture this process going through Board of Finance and Town Council as they look at the other priorities as we go into a budgeting season. And this, this is one of those things that would end early. I mean, I really believe that. I just don't see this having the priority that would get through at least this year. But that's my own opinion.
Would it, and I think we've talked about this project really not taking place till next June, next summer, just really for
Our budget
topography
year.
reasons as far as Board of Finance
So
goes.
the budget is, that we're approving would be for
2025.
through the 2025, the next summer. So we've funded through this summer. This is this budget that
Right.
we're in right now. Started July 1st and goes through June 30th. So what we're talking about for yours is from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. And so that's when all these projects, so
Right.
we're already kind of a year and a half away with funding at the end of the budget cycle. So
The one thought I have kind of along this line is, so we do have, money to allocated the 175, but I don't know if there's another project within Irwin that, I don't know if we could switch over, like we were talking about the terraced area or
Yeah.
something like that. Or is there something, I'm just trying to work with you all that, we did put some money forth, assuming it was for this walkway. Now, I will say, just to back it up, this shows exactly why we shouldn't rush things through the approval process. This did not come through the regular channels, because if it had, I think we would have dug down and been not so happy about, we wouldn't have bought into the number as quickly. So,
Yeah, 'cause
and
I mean,
I'm
I
just
think-
thinking, because we have allocated money for Irwin Park, obviously for this project. And perhaps there's a way, if there's something that we feel more comfortable with, that maybe some monies could be.
But originally, when you're on Board of Finance, I'm on Town Council, and this came through.
We were like,
we-
what the heck,
we-
where'd this come from?
Well, we
Yeah.
also thought that was it. I
Yeah,
mean, it wasn't
exactly. That
like
was
a-
it. It was 175.
It wasn't a
Hard.
design thing. We were getting the whole.
Boardwalk.
Yeah,
boardwalk.
we didn't think we were spending $90,000 on design work.
Yeah.
At all. Yeah, but again, I think it's because we have to be a little slower in the procedures, and there's a reason for them, because it keeps it more honest. And not that you have better information.
all right, so I guess.
I'd suggest if we could, I don't know whether you want to
I think
table
we
it
just-
or do you kill it?
We've
I
already
have no idea.
tabled it.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
one meeting.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I want to, we can take no action.
Yeah.
All right, I guess we're going to take no action unless there's something else that anybody else wants to say.
No, that's okay. And I guess to the extent you guys want to go back creatively, think about something, and there's something come forward, we're happy
Actually,
to
we would
listen.
appreciate the time because given that it was just a week since we last met with you, we haven't had a chance to convene our board or have any
Mhm.
larger discussions on it. I'm only able to go off the information that we had at our fingertips, to say, are there other measures we could take. So if you are open to it, why don't we have time to have a full board discussion on our half? And if we have changes in what we think we can provide, could we get back on the schedule then? Sure. That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And please, and please thank the board as well.
I know,
You know,
I know, because you guys do a lot of great things for this community, so thank you.
Speaking of Irwin.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, so we're here to seek approval to get approval for change orders for the for John Antonelli roofing for the Irwin Barn project. The change orders are mostly related to structural issues that we came across by working through this project. Bit of a challenge, 100-year-old building barn. And pretty much all of them were unforeseen. They were buried underneath the floor in the concrete where we had to do some footings. Some additional footings were also added. The soils underneath the slabs were unsuitable once we opened them up, so they had to dig a little deeper, a little wider. They had to add a couple of footings. And they had to also level the attic floor. I don't know if you're familiar with what was happening there. When we were attempting to do the roofing project, we had to stop because there was some structural elements came into play there that the architect had called out. We had hired a structural engineer. And came in and he stayed right out the gate to stay off the roof because there were some stability issues with the way it was all tied in. We also had, I don't know that term for it, but the attic floor had big waves in it. The span was 24 feet, I believe it was, which is not, doesn't meet today's standards and codes, obviously. So we had to address that. And when they took the ceiling down, the floor up, they're gonna put steel beams in. They had to stabilize the whole building because we had to put in temporary shoring to hold the whole entire roof system up. And when they did that, they went to go put the steel beams and they realized that it had settled quite a bit over the years. And we had to jack the whole roof and the floor up 6 inches, which took a little bit of time to do that. So that was something that was unforeseen because it was buried underneath ceiling and of the floor of the attic.
Hey, Bill, how old is the building? How old's the barn? Do we know?
I think it's approximately about almost 100 years old. It was definitely there before this house. And from, I was told that the original house resembled the barn and they took that down. So, you know, I think this was probably built in 1920s, somewhere around there. It kind of shows that vintage. Also somewhere along the line, which was kind of, I don't know if it was from the original construction or somebody at some point did something, but they actually cut through one of the columns to make a door. And that's what we think may have not helped.
Always a good idea.
Yeah.
For time, obviously, it all started to settle a little bit.
So Bill, can you just, not to cut you off, but of these change orders, because I'm actually a little concerned about price, what has actually been done on this?
So what I had on my list here, I talked about the other day. So the first 7, oh, you guys have the list, right? Yeah. So the first 7 items were already done.
Step back, which of these items were emergencies?
Well, the first 7 all had to do with the engineer being involved, the structural engineer at the time. He was out
So
there.
like demolition of bathroom fixtures doesn't strike me as an emergency expense.
It is because they had to add that extra column to come down through it. And so when they opened it all up, and it was a little toilet and a sink, it was in the basement area and and it was weird. It was just very strange.
And so what's the miscellaneous electrical work that was an emergency?
That was all part of moving the electrical out of the way when we had to put some additional columns in. And when they had problems with ceilings, we had the light fixtures and stuff and the wiring going across. It was they couldn't just swing it that way. We had to disconnect it. You know, the thought when we went in is, so you just move it to the side, you do your work and you pull it back over and in. When they realized the big sags, anything wrong, there was just no way to do that. They had to actually disconnect everything and drop the electrical out of the way.
So I
then
guess
install
my
it.
question is, Bill, I get it that we need to do all this work. I don't know why it was done and now we're coming back for approval.
Right, so the contractor did get a little ahead of it with the engineer because when
Contractor got ahead of it.
Well, he got ahead of it for his, when the structural engineer comes out and he calls these things out and there's structural issues, the contractor felt that he need to do the shoring and do these things because they're opened up.
So, but.
He
I
didn't want to
guess-
have the
So
responsibility of the
did,
building.
did they not get instructions that anything above the contract, they have to come back to you? So, and then you have to come back to us?
They did, and he knew that too, and I called him out on
So
it.
they've got approval from you guys to do it, right? They called you up and said,
What they said was, when I was out there with the engineer said, you gotta do this, because they were concerned about, especially the shoring of that, when they opened it up and they exposed everything to stabilize the building and not let it just hang out there, and that it was kind of critical to, listen,
so you all knew that,
you know
okay.
what's happening, and I talked to him at the time, I said, okay, shore this thing up, make it safe, and then, give me the change orders over, which he did not do right away. And
That
it
was done this summer? When was this done?
done over this summer. So it was during when we're doing the playhouse at the same time, so. And then the last items were just other items that we found on the outside of the building. The chimney capping, which we believe the chimney was hit by lightning at some point because the capping, this top was missing. And when we did the roof, you can see a hole in the roof where it once was. And so we'd like to cap that soffit panel. We found additional rot on the
So
soffits.
can I ask a question? What is so you guys are paying attention to it, and I went over and looked at it yesterday, and
Yeah.
to say this is a roof project is, I think, an understatement at this point. It's more shoring up the building project, because correct me if I'm wrong, there's it was 4 steel beams you put in, and then the cross beams and stuff.
Crossbeams of them.
But just in terms of the process, in terms of communication, so they talk to you, and then is it communicated up to Deanna's office in terms of that this is happening right now? I mean, I understand that it could have like fallen down or something like that, but just in terms of how does it get communicated? So you're the executive, we're
Typically,
VPs on
right.
this.
So there's
So did
two-
they know, did Deanna know about this? Was she in the loop?
Yeah, a couple questions in there. This is a 2 project. We had money to do the roof a couple years ago.
Mhm.
When we were doing design, that's when we ran into the structural issues. We priced it out. We went back to the following year to get additional money. So we had a roofing project and a structural project.
Mhm.
So that's why there's 2 years on there. As far
And the
as-
roofing project beget the structural project, because
Right,
I
so the
remember
roofing project,
approving
right.
the roofing, and then you're like, oh, shoot, we can't do it because we have structural issues.
Right, because we discovered that there was 3 roofs on the building with the span of rafters, everything, just the weight load on the roof was too great. That's why they said stay off it. And that's, I don't know if you recall, the roof was actually coming off the shingles
Mhm.
because there was a cedar roof on your first layer of fiberglass and then another layer of fiberglass over the years. So the roof system was quite thick
Mhm.
and heavy. So that's when and where it was tied in underneath, that's when the structural questions came into play. So we hired a structural engineer, and he went in and said, yeah, we have to do some structural work here to get this building to be able to hold its own weight, which we did. And then as far as when the change orders came in or the meetings were happening, our process is to get the change orders, we go to first selectmen, just contingency or back to you folks, depending on what we have to do. That's typically we have to do it. As I said, the contractor did get ahead of me on this one here, doing the work, and I was on him about getting me the change orders. He was a little slow to respond to that, unfortunately, so it didn't get conveyed like the way we would like to.
I mean, I'm gonna maybe chalk this up to, it was in the middle of the playhouse, finishing it up, and everybody was running too fast. But we can't have this.
No.
Like, we can't have this, and our contractors have to know we can't have this.
I know, no, he knows that, and
This is a contractor we use on a lot of things.
yes, he knows the process.
So I feel like either we're getting taken advantage of, because he knows the process. He knows he can't just do work without getting approval.
Mhm.
Or he needs, I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like he did work without getting approval.
And I think he was under the assumption because the engineer was calling these structural things out, it became an issue where, well, where's the liability? Why he didn't want them to have the building, he was following the plans accordingly. And when the engineer comes down and says, oh, this is unsuitable soils, this, that, you have to do this, that, and the other thing, what do you do at that point, right?
What you do is you pick up the phone and call you.
Right.
That's what you do.
Right.
Okay. And that's, all this doesn't have to be like 100% formal, but the communication should be that calls you and then, hey, Deanna, by the way, this is what's going on.
No, you're absolutely right. And I was on him about that. I said, when we met at the meetings, I said, write it up and get it over to me. and it wasn't happening quick enough for me. And then, of course, with the other projects going on, was a lot going on, trying to keep up with everything. And we did slow down the Irwin project because of everything that was going on, and to regroup to get to this point. So.
Yeah, because I think we were all in the impression it was more of a roof project more than a, and that's sort of morphed into a little bit more than that. And, you know, I think all of the boards would rather know, hey, we're going to tackle the barn during this cycle. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do this, 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 and this. And, you know,
Well, in
It's-
fiscal 22, we had $221,000 for the roofing. And then when we had the structural issues in 24, we got approval of $250,000 to do all the structural repairs.
Okay.
So like I said, it became two projects, and roofing couldn't happen without the structural. So there was a,
so total cost bill of the both of those numbers, what we're at 500,000 for the barn so far?
561,
561. So does the.
if you add this expense in.
So when a taxpayer looks at that barn and they can actually see 561, I mean, obviously you walk into the Playhouse, you definitely see $8 million. So if I walk into the barn right now, am I looking at, wow, this is amazing. It's done. We're good for 25 years, or what else do we have to do there?
the building's sealed, right? We did the roof, we did the painting on the siding, we did the windows over the years. So we actually sealed the envelope. The next phase of doing any on the interior stuff, right now it's just for storage, would be, it's not my decision. I mean, I sealed the building and to preserve it.
Bill, what did we spend on the windows and the siding? I mean, it looks nice from the outside now. It does. There's
think it was
one
a-
window's boarding up, but I'm sure that's gonna be,
Windows,
because that went
I
up
can't
too.
remember if it was window and painting was like, I think $85,000, $90,000 to do all the, you know.
Yeah, I'd like to know what the all-in.
I can get that, I get that, I just don't know
Yeah.
off the top of my head. I know, I can't remember if it was one combined project or if we did painting separately, I don't remember. I can get that for you.
And given you had these additional expenses, was there anything we had expected to do with the initial, it's 221 and 250, so 471, that we had to push out? Because I went in there yesterday and looked around, okay? It's a barn,
But
and
there
the
is a-
inside's a bit of a mess. There's two apartments that are dilapidated with paint falling off and everything, and I think, Tiger, in this expense is that the lower level apartment is the shoring up the flooring in this price
Yes.
point?
So
Is that in?
If I may. So there is one apartment, it's just 2 floors.
Right.
And the peeling and all the stuff you're seeing, the damage there is caused by all the moisture that was in the building. There is a basement
Right.
underneath the apartment that goes below everything. I don't know if there's bulkhead doors on the outside.
And that's where the floor is sagging?
Yeah. Because everything is deteriorating. The basement historically has always flooded, long before we even bought it. And it's always been a problem. It's always water down there. It's always wet. It's just perking through the floor. Part of this project within this contract is to actually remove that floor, infill that, break up all that concrete floor.
Leveling is.
Yeah,
is the
and filling in that whole entire basement with material, compacted down, and then pouring a slab for a finished floor at grade in the apartment. And we'll pop up the plumbing throughout.
That's in this.
That's within this
all-in.
contract,
No.
correct? That was the phase 2 portion of that. The structural engineer, when he reviewed that, because of the age of the building and the damage that the dampness is doing, and the basement doesn't serve any purpose. It had a boiler down there one time, which went underwater years ago. That he says, you know, technology, you can put, if you want a boiler, you can put one back upstairs at this point. It's not doing the building any favors by having it there. It's just a damp and it's rotting the wood and everything. And that's why the moisture in the plaster caused that all to flake off.
Bill, how much of this 87, what is it, 87, 790 have we already expended? How much is the stuff that was the emergency stuff that you already did? The 1 through 5, items 1 through 5.
Well, I didn't break it down, but it's, or did I break it down? I think I did. I brought it with me.
You had a breakdown.
Yeah. So, well, the first 7, I didn't total it, but it's, 2, 3. Like 53,000.
Already been really
Yeah,
spent.
yeah, there's
So we have
53, yeah,
another
okay, there's
34.
And there's 34,700 left for the other 3 items that we'd like to do. And so when removing the roof, because there was such a high buildup underneath the dormers that come out, there's 3 of them that come out with the windows in them. The roof line came right up to them. Typically in construction, you have pans underneath the windows when you construct. And they removed those, they discovered there's no pans underneath them. So it caused some additional rotting under there. So we're there, we're like, okay, we didn't do the work yet, but we'd like to do this work because it's not gonna get better, right?
Yeah.
So we're like, we'd like to pull those out and put the pans, do the whole thing the right way. So I'm getting it, and put these in. I know it's an additional cost, but like I said, it's not gonna get any better over time.
And this is coming out of
It was
which
right.
budget?
What we did was, so when we do it, going into the budgeting process, when we have an authorization for bonding, town buildings are grouped as to one authorization for all our projects. This was at the recommendation of the attorney or bond counsel years ago, to be able to, it allows us to move money within the projects. If there is a project that finishes, a balance, or if we need to change something, it gives flexibility of doing something without having to go back and do a reauthorization. And following that procedure, we had the board of, we did have additional funds and projects we were completed. We had the Board of Finance and they approved it, and they just transferred the funds over to make up for this here. So overall, in that whole authorization, the number never changed. It's just being moved on within those buildings. So.
And the Board of Finance already approved this transfer.
Yes, they already moved it, and it's just, they're just waiting for your approval to,
And that works, that's clean? Yeah. This is clean? Okay.
All right.
So getting a handle on this goes back to the prior item on the agenda. We really don't know what the total number is to restore the barn and the apartments or whatever's there to the final. So
We don't have a final.
Yeah.
You know, so having gone in there yesterday, I mean, so none of this stuff is going, I mean, it's barn-like, and parts of it are quite shabby inside, and there's a lot of stuff in there, right?
well,
And I'm sure it's better than it was. I mean, you know, but you know, it's as Tiger says, if you got an empty closet, you fill it up.
I went last week. It's definitely better last week than it was a month ago.
Yeah. So I think,
we did that because we had them in storage
Right,
containers, and we're sorting through some things too.
So that's my point, is what is the
What's
end
the
game?
purpose?
So we've sealed the envelope, we've done the roof, we've done the windows. So
Storage.
that it's really, the end game is storage, I guess.
Well, we have ideas. I mean, we could throw out there. I mean, yes, we need storage. We lost the garage back here. We lost Richmond Hill, and we're kind of been shuffling around. Seasonal equipment that Parks uses, puts the snow blowers up there and all that stuff, and then put their riding little mowers up there all winter, and they put their snow fighting equipment over at the park. So they do use it for that. I'm not gonna say it's the best use or worst use, or there could be better use. That's for somebody else to decide, but that's what it's used for right now. In the lower level, we have all our street lamp posts, our additional street lamp posts we store down there. It's our go-to place. It gives us the room to work on things there. At times, police departments have stored vehicles up in there, to keep them out of the public's eye. They had to be secured. So there's weird uses that we've been using it, absent a long-term plan that you folks or the public would like to see. One idea that we had discussed internally, we kind of presented a few years ago, and didn't really get anywhere, was to make 4-season bathrooms on the front door of the apartment. Now, if we do the slab, we have an open space. We can put 2 bathrooms there, men's, ladies' room, have it all there for 4-season. We can put some heat in just that little area. My personal opinion, I think it would be good only because you have an outhouse there now. And when my office was up there, and you gotta remember, when land use was up there during the renovation of this, people used that building for the bathrooms. But when that closed down, they were coming to my office, and I was getting quite a few people every day coming in asking me to use the bathroom. So we thought that perhaps instead of building another structure bathroom, maybe we can utilize that lower level of the barn. Just a thought. I mean, we can always rehash that and put it in the budget and let it go through discussions if you'd like.
That
sorry.
would be good.
No, I think
To put in.
it makes sense to kind of look through that,
Yes.
identify the spaces. If you're going to let certain groups in town store stuff, it should be, this is your space. Every year you relook at it, because people store stuff all the time, and it's not necessarily.
You're right.
And we did, I would tell you, when we did the Saks renovation, they were talking about the auditorium, and I was in the building committee, like, well, we need a storage room. And I'm like, for what? And I said, have you ever reused your props? And the answer was pretty much no. So we have to be judicious about it, and we have to have, I think if that's a purpose and you do need to store stuff, we just need to have a game plan. And you should be the one who says, you can't, no, unless you're storing it, we just gotta keep, and then we also should figure out how to keep it clean. So.
You're right, and we did take some of the storage elements out of that when we did go through this barn, because there was stuff up there that was, it didn't need to be there, right? So we talked to the owners of it and they got rid of it. Currently, right now, we have the Chamber of Commerce, all the Christmas stuff for downtown stored up there, and that's seasonal.
Yeah, and if that's fine, we should just have a
We
plan.
finally went through the last of the town hall stuff a couple years ago, and we got rid of a lot of that stuff that was up
Yep.
there after the flood. That took forever to seem to get through. But you're right. I mean, I think we're in better shape now with the barn as far as storage goes. Parks uses it mostly for their storage seasonal stuff. Chamber, there's some stuff we're still going to go through now that we actually got a good barn to go in there and clean up a little bit. And we'll work on a number. We'll put out there to do bathrooms so you folks can discuss it during the budget cycle. If you'd like to pursue that, that's great.
Tiger, I have a question. CERT uses Irwin now for storage, right?
They use it as a meeting space.
Okay, meeting space, but they also store some stuff there. Could their stuff be stored in a non-heated facility like the barn?
I'd have to ask.
Said in terms of we're trying to figure out what to do with Irwin. This can be a later discussion, but
They're storing their stuff in their meeting area or in the area that was allocated to them in the house.
right.
I could ask them if they could move that. What? Right.
I mean, we have a lot of meeting spaces in town. So, I just want to put that out there because as we try to figure out, so we have Irwin open. We have one tenant paying 600.
I think we just raised that.
Raised.
We just raised that.
Not a lot, but not a lot. And then you have all the expenses of heating it, keeping it open. So I just think, if the barn is now kind of the envelope, then we have to figure out how to use the inside of it. And I would like to, if we can get the numbers of what we spent on the windows and the painting so that people know in total to get the barn stabilized. And, I don't doubt, given the poles, the metal structures they put in there, that had to be put in, but now that we have it structured, how are we going to use it and what did it cost us to get there? So.
And we still have the issue with the slab. It's still not there, right? I mean, is the slab there?
I didn't
or-
do that part. We
Right.
put the brakes on everything until we,
Yeah.
after we get.
So as
through
of right
it.
now, it's still got the issue with the moisture, all that
Yeah,
stuff. Still.
And if we, after today, if you approve everything today, we're going forward. We're gonna start,
Okay.
we're just finishing up outside. They're wrapping, yes, I think you were up there, wrapping up outside, finishing that, and then we'll.
But putting the slab in is within this
Right.
additional funds.
It's all within the
It
contract.
was in the contract, right?
How does it work when you fill something like that? And I mean, I know like on the road, you have to wait for a while for it to settle down. How,
Not when it's stone. Stone settles itself and you
Okay.
can't compact stone.
okay,
So on the road, you've got gravel. So
Got it.
that's where you're trying to get the moisture content out and the air content out. That's the compaction. Stone basically seeks its own level, so you can't compact the stone.
so then you can fill it and then
Right.
no issue.
Pour
Okay,
on top of it.
thanks.
All right, any other questions? All right, so just with the request that you go back to Antonelli and tell him, don't ever do this again. I don't ever want to see this again.
I'll make sure he understands. it.
Yeah, I don't want to see that again. So, and you should give it, you don't want to have to go through that again.
Oh, no, I yelled at him.
Okay,
Literally. We got to.
Yeah. well, it may impact us wanting to use them again. And I think you should, and you should communicate that. I don't ever want to see this
Point to
again.
him. I have no problem stressing that to
Yeah,
him.
I don't
I mean,
want to
he's a
see
good contractor
contractors.
and he knew better. And then we talked about that and argued about it a little bit. And as much as he thought he was doing the right thing by acting right away, he still had to go this way.
Yeah.
And to your point, we could have just talked and just, yes.
And
go
Deanna,
through.
to be clear, if that had happened and he
Yeah.
said, Bill, I got to talk to you, and then Bill talked to you, that would have worked, right? Okay, so it's
Yeah.
not like we have to have
Yeah,
like,
I sign
yeah.
emergency things.
No, exactly. I
Not
just
all
wanna
the
make sure
time,
that
but I
works for you.
do
Yeah.
sign
Mhm.
emergency things. It's understanding, is this a true emergency or could it have waited
Mhm.
till it came through the boards?
Well, yeah, I equate it to having at your home and you're at
Right.
work and you have a contractor working on your home and they just go ahead and do something. And then when you get home, you said, I didn't tell you to do that.
Yeah.
Like, What happened?
No, I just want to reinforce that. So we're not putting barriers. You're
No,
there.
No,
You're there.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely willing to
Yeah.
listen.
Okay.
Okay, so given that, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to change orders in the amount of $87,790 with J. Antonelli Roofing's contract for the Irwin Barn Roof Project.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous.
Hey, before you guys go, can I ask, where do we stand on waiving? So we had one study done for the waterproofing. We had the other one done. I know we don't have a ton of money in this budget approved for fixing this, but where are we? Because we didn't get the hurricane that they did get down south, but we will get something. And every time we get really bad water, the problem just gets worse. So where are we as a town in trying to figure out how best to address the water issues at Waveney? And I don't think it makes sense to say we got to wait till next year unless I'm missing something.
Well, we've met with Hoffman. We also met with the contractor who was present in the building, and then the original engineer or the architect who did the original plans for the repointing. There's a disconnect between what the original scope of work was and what Hoffman's scope of work is.
Mhm.
There's several differences of opinion as to whether we need to go with the entire full scope of work that Hoffman had suggested. Even to get to that point, we don't have enough money in the budget at present to then cover what Hoffman is proposing. It was suggested at one point in time during this meeting to have us focus on just say one side of the building, meaning the eastern side where the kitchen is, where the predominant. Even focusing on that, I don't believe we have enough money in the budget to focus on that one side. So the feeling is that we need to get each player into the room and figure out exactly what our path forward would be, and then come back to this board with a decision as to how we want to move that forward. So the thought is to bring in Hoffman with our original engineer, possibly a contractor, the first selectman, ourselves, members of Park and Recreation Department, and then see exactly what our path forward would be, whether we choose one side of the building, whether we choose the entire envelope. But there were some suggestions from Hoffman that I don't believe, I'm not of the opinion that I need to take out a limestone that's in perfect shape just because they say I should do it throughout. I want to fix the limestone that's having a problem, not the limestone that's already solid in place.
So
there's
let's just, because this isn't an agenda item,
Yeah,
so
sorry.
let's move forward. But if we can just, we need to probably start moving that process forward, because then if it needs to go through the budget process, it needs to get in the budget, and we need to,
Yeah, but more importantly, if it really needs to be done and we have to figure out how to do it now, let's not push this off another year. If we have to figure out how to do it, let's do it, because we spent the money for the Hoffman, and I know it's not an agenda item, but I don't want that to slip.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so we will.
okay.
All right.
Maybe put it agenda item next time.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. ComNet Communications.
So this is just a blanket purchase order from the department for ComNet Communications. So Chris Kaiser, our director of IT, is going to join us. So ComNet is basically our go-to person when we have issues with either a break or we dig it up. We had that at Lapham in other areas. So we took a look at, I talked to Chris, talked to Joe, and in essence, they're our go-to person. If there's a problem, we call them. We're going to have some situations where at the police department, we're going to have to move and change back over some of our IT from one to another. ComNet would be our person to call. So our feeling is that based upon past usage and future, what we feel we would be using, a $15,000 blanket purchase order for the year would cover us for those either unforeseen issues or the foreseen issues that we see going forward. And we have the monies available in our various DPW accounts.
So when we hit that fiber,
We called them.
yeah. So what was the overall cost for that particular experience?
Yeah, 6 for the first forget who dug it up on the street. They paid for the first one.
Oh,
That's
that was right out in
it's
front
been
of Town
hit
Hall.
quite a bit in the past few years because of all the utilities upgrades in town.
Right. So we had a contractor the gas contractor hit it out in front of town hall, even though we had marked it for them, they hit it. We called ComNet, they came out immediately. That was on a Monday morning or Sunday night, Monday morning.
Yeah. There are 24.
To fix it. We weren't necessarily at work because Board of Ed was out since it's the feeder, but they came out and then that was paid for by the contractor itself because it was marked and we had actually walked it with him. The one at Lapham was hit and that one was paid for by the town, would be paid for by the town. We're hoping that we won't have that situation. One of the thoughts for our fiber is to have it marked completely and then put on a plan with Ty and Bond, our GIS consultant, and have a layer specifically associated with our fiber. We're working towards that at present. So we won't have but given the fact that, we'll need work from them for the year and quite possibly an unforeseen situation here or there, or just some other work that we have, we felt the 15,000. It's very in keeping with what we've worked with them in the past.
This is part of the project with the new police as well. They've moved it out to one of the buildings now, and then it has to be relocated as well. So
That's not in the police budget
Will be part of it. This will
transfer some of this. over
yes,
to
some of
the-
that, some of the PO would be associated with that project number or that project account.
Right, any
All right.
other questions? Excuse me. If I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to create a blanket purchase order with ComNet, excuse me, in the amount of 15,000 for various communications repair work.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay,
It's time.
is Scott here? He's on. All right, Scott. Yeah, on. So, today we are, I guess we'll have Scott and myself. We are continuing to move forward with the, housing authorities, negotiations for closing on the property at 106 Lakeview Avenue. And, as part of that, we don't have to approve this. It's already been approved by the Tax Abatement Authority and the Town Council.
Okay.
But this is just for information.
Great.
So, Scott, do you want to? Okay.
Hey, guys, oh, sorry about this. I'm tied up just under another
Okay,
subordinate.
I can kind of give a
Okay.
summary if you want, Scott. That's fine.
That
I
would be
just-
great. And I'll sort of listen in the background and chime in if I need to. Sorry, I'll
Okay.
be back on in a couple
Okay,
minutes.
No worries, no worries. So the amount that we authorized was a 7% payment in lieu of taxes. So they would pay 7% of effective gross income. That will likely, currently, the Avalon contributes about 535,000 to the town's tax base. That will reduce based on, obviously, this is based on a pro forma.
Mhm,
We have no idea what it's going to be, but based on the pro forma, probably about $135,000 haircut to taxes we receive from that
Okay.
entity. So I don't know if you have any specific questions related to it, but this is a requirement by Fannie Mae to be able to be the senior debt lender. They need a pilot to be able to come in at the senior debt level.
Yep.
So,
This is.
and this
our-
won't happen unless the deal closes.
Yeah, and this is our best option to move forward
Yeah.
in addressing our housing challenges. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, based on
gonna
the,
cost a little bit.
potential cost of acquiring property
Exactly.
and building something, I
bargain.
mean, this is just,
Right.
it's a home run all the way
Yeah,
around.
great.
so.
We get affordable housing without adding density.
Right.
I like that.
Right, so it says maybe a delta about $150,000.
Yeah, based on, yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on to the municipal agent appointment.
Hey, Cheryl.
You, Cheryl.
Okay. So every Connecticut city and town has a municipal agent for the elderly who assists town residents 60 and over by providing information and referrals to local, state, and federal agencies. It's appointed by either a Board of Selectmen or a town official. It's usually 2 or 4 years. My recommendation from RC would be 4. And they are there to help with programs, benefits such as Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, Social Security, protective services, legal services, adult daycare, housing, transportation, and community groups. And so Marcy is our interim, and it would make sense to appoint her as the municipal agent.
And she before was the, fully dedicated to the elderly. She was the, the social worker and involved with that. So it's sort of her wheelhouse anyway.
All right.
That's
Sounds great.
All right. So
right.
if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Human Resources Director to authorize the appointment of Marcella Rand as the municipal agent for the elderly.
So
Second.
It's unanimous.
Cheryl, please thank Marcy for us.
Yeah.
It was a great job.
That's cruel.
Morning.
Good morning.
After nearly 10 years, Jill Stamen, who is the part-time admin in fire services, is leaving. So we went out for to fill this position, and we received 25 applications. It is a part-time position, 25 hours approximately a week. And Donna Hutter, one of the applicants, rose right to the top. She does have some fire insurance background, so I think that was part of the decision. Albie and Paul seem very happy with this decision. She has had a little bit of time to spend with Jill. There's a lot of technical stuff involved, and one particular software program that nobody else knows. So she's going to continue to work with Jill. Jill said she could continue on in bits and pieces where necessary. So we feel like this is a really good fit, and we would ask that you approve this hire.
Do we want to do them individually, or I have another person on this list to be?
Yeah, if you want to do that one, and then I'll have John. come
Okay,
up with the other
perfect.
one.
Okay, if I could get a motion to approve a request from Human Resources to hire Donna Hutter as a part-time administrative assistant to the fire marshal and the fire department.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, so the next one is Jeff Manella. He currently works for the highway department. We had an opening in the parks. We did an internal posting and Jeff put his name in. He is already certified.
It's a supervisory pesticide applicator for the state of Connecticut. So that means he can direct other people to apply chemicals.
Okay.
So.
So he will be a great addition as a groundsman 3. Highway department's not happy, but as we tell our employees, we're always looking to move them around into positions that fit their needs. And I think Jeff as a groundsman, he's going to do better in this position.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely a gain for the Parks Department. Sorry that it happens to the Highway Department.
Well,
but-
say he used to own a landscaping business, or he still owns a landscaping business. So, I mean, that's sort of his wheelhouse, it looks like.
So does that mean DPW is going to be looking for new hires? So now we'll have, so we posted that internally. We had no candidates. So now we've gone out because we'll have 2 openings because we moved Lou up and Jeff out. So now we have 2 openings.
Great. All right. If there are no further questions, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Human Resources Director to transfer from Highway Department to Parks Department, Groundsman 3 Supervisory Custom Ground Spray License, Jeff Manella.
Second.
It's
Thank you.
unanimous. Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, so the next item is appointments. We have 2 current openings on the Inland Wetlands Commission, 1 opening for a regular member that was created when Anthony Sillo tendered his resignation. And then that's for a regular member. And then we have an alternate position that was created when Sandy Redden was moved from an alternate to a a regular member. So both of those were Republican seats that were vacated, and the RTC forwarded 2 names of candidates that they would like to see put on this commission. The first that I interviewed both candidates, and I sent to both of you over a week ago, both of their resumes or their information. And I don't know, I hope you had a chance, or if you already knew them, great. So I'm proposing that we have Phil Williams to fill the position vacated by Anthony Sillo as a regular member. Phil actually used to be on the Planning and Zoning Commission. So he has some experience with sort of the land use things that they'll have to deal with inland wetlands. So I would propose Phil to be the 2-year term ending December 1st, 24, which is Anthony Sillo's regular term. And then I would have Don Mastronardi proposed as an alternate member to fill the 2-year term ending 12/1/25, which is Sandy Redden's original term. So do you have any questions or?
No, I mean, I've known both of them for quite a while, and I have no reservations. And well, I'm really happy that we're able to get volunteers like this to step up. It's great. Both Phil and Don will do a great job.
Yeah, some new people.
I had the chance to talk to Phil. Great conversation. He's got a great background. Don and we tried to connect. We were not able to, so I'll probably just, because I didn't have a chance to chat with them. But again, we're lucky. People step up, and it is, we continue this construct of, worrying about what party people are on, because we do have alternate members who have served a long time. And it's not, I don't think it's a fight I'm going to win, but I will say, when we have people who are alternates and have spent the time on the deck to learn what we do, we certainly don't want to get people to be like, oh, I'm going to leave. So I would like us to think about if we could have some flexibility on that, especially stuff that is inland wetlands. I mean, there's nothing political about it. So that's just,
It's just that it's the ancient old, spot is a spot, and then but I think we need to do a better job too of unaffiliated, bringing unaffiliated. And how does an unaffiliated resident say, hey, I'd like to serve on one of these? Because it seems like we hear from the DTC and the RTC, but we don't hear from the UTC.
Yeah. They need to. No, I mean, I think to me that would come right directly to me if people are interested, and so if there are unaffiliated voters, and I know both the DTC and RTC have some U's that they have talked to, so they can also, if they know a U that they think would be,
but they tend to not, which is, that's their wheelhouse, but and I don't, I was kind of looking on the website, whether it, I don't know, Justin, could be, hey, get involved. And then maybe it would direct people and like, oh, these are boards of commissions, maybe these openings, or if you have a skill set, so do we have an opening? So people, because I was looking around saying, how would you figure out how to do it? So, if there could be just like a tab, get involved. And
I think that's a good idea, because I think both board, even the DTC and RTC sometimes struggle with, getting people to.
And they feel it's hard for them to say, let me put it unaffiliated, because that's kind of not their wheelhouse, but it's like, we're a town. And we have now, the unaffiliated.
We're good people.
They're the biggest group.
The RTC forwarded me an unaffiliated person to look at, so I am going to interview somebody. So, but so.
But if we can get like get involved in town government type of, and however somebody can make that happen, that would be great.
Okay.
So,
all right. So if I could get a motion to approve the following appointments to the Inland Wetlands Commission. Phil Williams, should I do these one at a time?
Do them one at a time.
Okay. Phil Williams as a regular member for a 2-year term ending 12/1/24.
So
second.
It's unanimous. Thank you. And Don Mastronardi as an alternate member for a 2-year term ending 12/1/25.
So
I'm going to abstain just because we didn't get to chat.
So I'll second that. And then I guess, so it'll be a 2 and 1 abstention in the vote. Okay, thank you. All right, you have contracts for review for contracts under $10,000. Do we have any questions about any of these?
Can they beat, it's 10,000 and under?
Yes,
I
I
was
know.
thinking
I
so.
actually asked that question
Okay.
as I was, because I'm
All
like,
right.
is it 9,999
Okay,
or
good. All right,
10,001?
perfect.
And I
Okay,
guess it's
perfect.
10,001. Okay, so if there are no questions, we'll move on to overpayments. You have the list of tax overpayments. Do you have any questions on that? Again, it's motor vehicles drive that. So if I could get a motion to approve refunds for tax overpayments,
So moved.
A second.
it's unanimous. And then legal bills.
How do you feel about legal bills tracking vis-a-vis budget? You're comfortable with where we are?
Well, we budgeted 400,000 for the year, so
Mhm. Okay.
yeah, we're
I mean, but
You know,
it
we're
it
always-
paces, yeah.
yeah,
So I just
it's
wonder your
early, so-
sense. It is early.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's early. So we have a few things going on, obviously. So I'm sure, there'll be a few larger bills coming in the next month or two.
Right.
Given some of the things that are going on.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So if I could get a motion to approve the legal bills, legal fees.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. All right, and then you have the meeting schedule for next year. If you have any questions, I mean, obviously we've moved things. I think this board is pretty collegial.
I may have a conflict in May.
Okay,
So
so we can talk about that. We just need to do it if we wanted, Tucker inform me
month
if we,
ahead time, right?
yeah, we need
Yeah,
a 30-day notice if we want to be able to still have a regular meeting. So, okay.
And we moved the ones that we were concerned about on the holidays, right?
Yeah.
January 1, we're not having a meeting January 2nd.
Good.
Good.
Yeah, good. All right, so if I could get a motion to approve the 2025 meeting schedule.
So moved.
It's unanimous. Thank you. And are there any comments that you'd like to make? I don't have anything.
No, I hope on the next agenda, if we could get an update
Waveney.
on Waveney,
Yeah,
that would be
I
helpful.
agree.
I just think we need to keep the pressure on this
Yeah,
one
yeah.
because more water is just going to cause
I know.
more damage.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out how we pay for this. and
Oh,
where we
no,
pay
I
for
agree.
it.
But I
Yeah.
agree. I think then the other boards, like the Board of Finance
Yeah.
is aware that this is
Yeah.
on the docket.
Yeah.
And I would say if anybody out there
Yeah.
has got some dreamy capital project or something,
Yeah.
or so, you should come before us early.
Yeah.
You know, hit up Deanna and then,
Yeah.
you know, so it's way better to socialize things early.
Exactly,
So-
exactly. I mean, I think I'm presenting to the Rotary this week. I'm going to bring up Waveney in my
Yeah.
comments there. I think, and if both of you and any of your conversations with different boards.
I
and-
keep telling them. to
Okay, good.
Sure you.
Because
do it your way. Mhm.
and not for profit, just the community needs to know this is a major, issue in the community.
Yep.
And it's not going to be a cheap issue to solve. So,
Yep.
okay.
Right.
All right. If I don't have any other comments, if I could get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
It's unanimous. Thank you.
well, under 2 hours.